Trump as the Lion King. The world as imagined by Trump will never resemble the enchanted world envisioned in the last century by his fellow countryman, Walt Disney, for the happiness of both great and small, nations and individuals. And this, even though the similarities between Trump and the usurper king, Scar, are undeniable for those familiar with the story of the Lion King. As in the biblical legend of Abel and Cain, Scar, deceitful and jealous, kills his brother Mufasa to become king of the jungle in his place. The jungle was joyful and peaceful under Mufasa's rule. It became ruthless and anarchic under Scar, until Simba, the rightful heir and son of the good King Mufasa, grew up and reclaimed the crown from the impostor. The world we live in will only suit Trump once he has turned it into a jungle like Scar's, where the strong devour the weak and the rich enslave the poor. While Russia had been the primary enemy of the capitalist West since 1917, Trump has just handed Ukraine to Putin on a platter of rare earths, breaking the century-old solidarity between North America and Western Europe. He is even considering leaving NATO, which would effectively strengthen Russia's long-standing dream of merging Eastern and Western Europe under its influence. His fear of NATO stemmed only from the American presence, which is its core and true strike force. Putin was already backed in his expansionist policy by two nuclear-armed neighbors, China and North Korea. Not only did Trump's America rescue him at the last moment from the Ukrainian quagmire, but also de facto joined the new nuclear club, bringing its members to fore. Never before has geopolitics been shaken to such an extent, nor have there been such inconceivable reversals. America siding with Russia and soon China, NATO without the USA, and Europe struggling to create a common defense against both Putin and Trump. The new world in the making follows no logic and is not driven by any vision, unlike the previous century when the Soviet Union had Marxism-Leninism, or when American neoconservatives used the ideas of Samuel Huntington and Bernard Lewis to reshape the Middle East. It is a result of the whims of man surrounded by America's wealthiest individuals and political adventurers who seek not ideals, but new sources of profit and absolute power. Coming from the world of entertainment, without intellectual, cultural, or ideological substance, devoid of any structured worldview, unbound by moral considerations, speaking only in terms of buying and selling, taxing and killing, thinking and behaving like a narcissistic pervert, Trump sees the world as a jungle to be conquered. He has distanced himself from his neighbors, whom he proposed annexing in whole or in part. Canada and Mexico, he seeks to rid himself of the costly and useless European burden, except for Greenland, and has lost faith in the West. Corrupted by woke culture, and he is not wrong on this point dash. Will he, Putin, and the Chinese president eventually agree on a strategy to divide the world into three spheres of influence? Or will they continue preparing for wars that could lead to their mutual destruction? The Berlin Congress of 1885 divided Africa among rival colonial powers. The Sykes-Picot Agreements of 1916 did the same with the Middle East, and the Treaty of Sèvres in 1920 with the Ottoman Empire. This is the only explanation that carries any intelligence regarding the transformations we are witnessing in astonishment. After all, it is far easier and more effective for three powers to agree than for 193 nations to establish a global order that could last 1,000 years.